The year I turned 30, I was overwhelmed with a sense of urgency that time was running out. Got married? Check. Career? Check. But figure out who I am is a glaringly empty box that was still unchecked. Before I grow a family and devote my time to nurturing others, I feel like I need to find myself first. The pressure is building up as my biological clock is ticking loud and clear. I am probably not the only one who feels this way. I started noticing that my other girlfriends suddenly started running or hiking a mountain, and a theory came to me. Maybe the answer to an existential crisis is to replace it with a physical one. This episode on the Third Spring podcast is a story of me, someone who traded chasing checkboxes with racing to a physical finish line. Back in university, my professor always said to my class that we had a lot of potential and there were many possibilities awaiting us after graduation. I always thought to myself, at which point would my potential no longer be just potential and would turn into something concrete? Throughout my 20s, I followed a stable trajectory, graduated from a university and got a job in the tech industry. I was lucky enough to have found a lot of fulfillment in being a product manager. But there was a voice at the back of my head that kept asking if I had made the best use of my time, of my youth, and of my quote-unquote potential. You know, very typical millennials' existential crisis. Then one day, a friend at work asked me if I wanted to join her for a sprint triathlon in about 6 months. For those who don't know what triathlon is, a sprint triathlon is a race where you torture yourself battling the ocean waves while swimming for 750 meters, then cycling in your dripping wetsuit for 18 kilometers. As if that wasn't enough, after cycling, you would run for another 5 kilometers, and you do all three activities one after another with no break in between whatsoever. Triathlon? Me? Having sat at a desk most of my life from school days to now doing a 9-to-5 job, let's just say I am not the most athletic person out there. Not even fit. I could even trip over my own feet when I walked. Triathlon was definitely and totally out of my league. Then it dawned on me it is that age where everyone in their 30s around me either start running or hiking mountains. Why don't I just follow the trend? Before you say, Evey, following the trend blindly is not the wisest thing to do, I have to say, if there are that many 30-something-year-old couch potatoes who suddenly want to take up a physical challenge, there might be some wisdom in it after all. I had a theory on why people do it, and I wanted to test it out. The theory I had is, the best way to deal with a problem is to substitute it with another problem. Worked all the time in history. When one country is plagued with domestic issues, the government could divert people's attention to a common external threat. Then all of a sudden, the domestic issues cease to matter. Existential crises are abstract and confusing, but challenging yourself to complete a race is concrete and measurable. I think sometimes we really underestimate the beauty and simplicity of having specific, measurable goals. It is so liberating to not have to torment myself over the what I want to pursue for a change, so that I can focus on the how. You have to understand, my 9-to-5 job as a product manager is to wrestle with the abstract of maximizing user satisfaction. And there are 1,000,001 factors that contribute to that outcome. Most of the time, it is about making educated guesses and trial and errors. The constant struggle of making the unknowns known makes a goal as simple and concrete as swim 750 meters felt like coming up for air. With the theory of solving a problem by substituting it with another problem, I was eager to start training and see for myself if it was true. And surprise, surprise, it was not. The process of training for a physical goal was a mirror reflecting my attitude towards adversity and my system to acquire new skills. And man, how humbling it was. Among the three activities, swimming, running, and cycling, swimming was my weakest. I could only swim freestyle for 25 meter or half the standard length of a swimming pool before my heart burst out of my chest and my legs burned. The race distance for a sprint triathlon is 750 meter in the ocean. I was very, very far from being able to complete the swimming segment of the race. I started practicing freestyle on my own in the pool near my house. Tried to watch videos online to understand the techniques, but I didn't make much progress after months of trying. It was frustrating and demoralizing. That's when it dawned on me that practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. If I keep practicing the wrong thing, I will keep doing the wrong thing. It is deliberate practice that would make perfect. That means first understand where I need to improve on, work on it deliberately, and receive corrective feedback. If I don't know where I go wrong, my practice effort will not be directed towards fixing it. And if I don't get corrective feedback, I wouldn't know where I go wrong. Do you see the problem? Understanding this also makes me realize another thing. Why didn't I get help? Why did I keep thinking that I could figure swimming out on my own? Yes, practicing swimming on my own was cheap, but it was yielding no result and the race date was drawing closer. The amount of time wasted also has an opportunity cost, which starts to outweigh the monetary cost of getting a swimming coach. I was curious about why I had this mindset of hesitating to ask for help to begin with, and it brought me back to my secondary school and junior college years. When it came to studying, there was this really unhealthy idea rooted in me that smart students didn't need to put in a lot of effort to study and could still get good results. If you have to work hard to get good results, you are not smart. Of course, if you are smart and can study everything easily, you don't need to go for tuition or ask for help either. Now that I'm older, I could see how limiting and self-sabotaging that thinking was, and I was shocked to realize how deep-rooted it was in my head. It might have done me lots of disservice to my personal growth in the past without me realizing it. But doing something purely physical like learning how to swim put me in a totally different context that doesn't trigger my ego, and it helped me acutely aware of this flaw. After I enrolled myself into swimming classes as well as got a coach to work on my running and cycling, the kind of improvement I gained was multifold. I went from being able to swim only 25 meter at a time to being able to swim 50 meter at a time in 2 weeks. Even for running, which is something I thought I was so familiar with, there was so much to learn. There is a proper running technique, surprise, surprise. And there's lots of functional training that takes place outside of running to strengthen the right muscles so that one can run more efficiently with less injury risk. So you see, I thought I was avoiding my existential crisis, but training for a triathlon forced a lot of those existential questions to appear more plainly, and in an unexpected way. By learning how to work with myself to acquire running skills or swimming skills, I learned how to work with myself to acquire new skills in general. Some of my listeners must be wondering, with all these investments, I must have completed the sprint triathlon in flying colors. The truth is, after my breakthrough to swim 50-meter freestyle non-stop, I plateaued. I was not able to progress to the point where I could swim 750-meter non-stop in the pool, not to mention in the ocean. When it was 1 month left before the race, I was still working hard on my techniques, hoping to manifest myself into being able to swim 750 meter. I asked myself many times, why must I do this to myself? Maybe it is better for me to delay till next year. I was nowhere near ready. It would be stupid and dangerous to attempt, blah, blah, blah. I thought of pulling out, but I didn't want to quit on my good friend, who had been training with me for the same race all this while. Somehow it felt like both of us were holding on to a rope for each other, and neither of us wanted to be the first one to let go. As I was checking the race details, I discovered that there are shorter distances that I could realistically complete. There are a kids distance and freshman distance. Honestly, if it weren't for the age limit, I would have registered for the kids' distance. I eventually settled on the freshman triathlon. 200-meter swim, 12-kilometer cycling, 2-kilometer run. It was a compromise. When I clicked the confirm button, I thought a wave of failure would wash over me. But it never came. I actually felt relief. I realized I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. What mattered is I've already tried my hardest and got no regret. More than the race days itself, it was the training process that I completed that gave me the greatest sense of achievement. There is something to be said about how improving your physical endurance helps you become resilient in other aspects of your life. Having to go all out in a run thinking that's the end, and then having to repeat the run one more time in the same training session sounded dreadful at first, but it taught me to keep showing up one more time. I also realized that it was not as bad as what my mind imagined it to be. My biggest takeaway really is how physical endurance trained the mind to be more tolerant of challenges in general. You might ask, do I have to do a triathlon to get the same benefits? Absolutely not. Pursue whichever sport that piques your interest, that ideally has a concrete milestone like a race, a belt test, or a performance. Does it have to be physical? Say, can I learn how to play a new instrument or learn a new language? I would say picking up any new skill with concrete milestones can bring similar opportunities of self-reflection. And by all means, go for it. But picking up a physical skill has the physiological advantage of producing natural feel-good hormones and improving physical health, which is extremely valuable. And that, my friend, is how pursuing a specific, measurable goal on physical fitness might actually give us a breakthrough for our existential crisis. Challenging yourself physically sheds light on many habits and pre-existing assumptions about yourself. It is not about proving anything to anybody, and it's never too late to embark on this journey of self-discovery. If you enjoyed this episode, I have one small ask. The next time you feel overwhelmed by one of life's big, abstract questions, I want you to go for a walk. Just a simple walk. And while you're walking, think about one small, concrete thing you can do this week. Then come and tell me what it is. As always, live strong and pursue your why. Till we meet again.